And we are back. Yes, it is the Torn Quadcast duo of Elliot Serrano and Mark Allen Fishman. Back once again to talk about sports entertainment, sports and entertainment. If you haven't been tuning in before, this is our eighth episode. I think we're going on 2 months now of a weekly show pretty regularly, I think. How's it been feeling for you so far, Mark?
So far, so okay. I haven't been stopped in the street yet, but any day now.
I
Any
have
day.
though. I've been
Okay.
stopped in the street, but it has nothing to do with the Torn Quadcast.
Okay. Yeah.
I've had, my goodness, it's been an eventful last week. Has nothing to do with pro wrestling, but hey, pro wrestling has had a bit going on, and we will be talking about that today on the Torn Quadcast for those who are listening to this show for the very first time. Mark and I like to talk about, yes, the professional wrestling, the news and events around the sport of professional wrestling, mainly WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, and we will be diving into some of the more local promotions. We're going to have guests on. We're trying to figure out timing. It's always an issue with timing because I do have friends who work for Power Pro, POW, Chicago Championship Wrestling, and a lot of the other small indie promotions around the Chicago area. They're anxious to come on. I know Joey Roth, the villain, Joey Roth, a good friend of the show, is going to be coming on. But again, Joey, in between his day job, his wrestling stuff, and taking care of family, he's been really busy. So, but we do plan on having him on. I also want to have my personal wrestling manager. He's one of the fixtures of Chicago Championship Wrestling and the founder of the Chicago Connection, P.L. Myers, the shot to the top. If you don't get P.L. Myers, if you're not a fan of P.L. Myers, that's your problem because I know that P.L. Myers it has had an incredible career. Wrote a book about being a professional manager. Had his forward written by none other than Bobby the Brain Heenan. When Bobby the Brain Heenan endorses your book and writes a forward for you, boom, that means you're something. He's managed the Road Warriors. Was one of the last managers of the Road Warriors. Managed the Road Warriors after Paul Ellering, and he was just my professional wrestling manager when I was defending my belt as the Geek Media Heavyweight Champion of Chicago. I am undefeated in those matches. It's funny because I it probably don't need to mention that every time I had a match, none of my opponents ever showed up. Um, but I guess they were dodging me. Sam Panayotovich left for Las Vegas the moment I called him out. Tom Skilling retired the moment I called him out. Um, uh, um, um, Bob Bell gone out. And Marcus Lashock DQ. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? When you're the king, and as you can see, I am Chicago's king of geeks, but I am also the undisputed and undefeated geek media heavyweight champion of Chicago. If you want to come for me, you got to get in touch with my manager. Anyway,
Send me that number. I'll gladly.
oh yeah, you want
Why
you
not?
want you want some?
Let's do it for the fans. That's
Come
what they
get
want.
some. That's true. or what they've been wanting. It's the thing is I can't say I'm going to give them a heel turn. It's funny because whenever I come out as the king of geeks, I do play the heel. Playing a heel is fun. It is so easy to get a crowd to boo you. That happened at my last. Mind you, this was a while back, but when I appeared at an event for one of the Chicago wrestling, the local promotions, it was a fundraiser actually, and I got to come out to do my title defense, and I came out with Paul. I had the Ric Flair belt on my shoulder. I have pictures of it on my Facebook page. Paul came out with me, and I'm telling you, Paul, me being associated with him got boos. The boos were just raining down on us, and it's like, this is kind of cool. And you insult the people in the crowd. So it's kind of like when I was writing Grumpy Cat, and kids would ask me to sign their Grumpy Cat comics, and I would write the dedication. I would write I would insult the kid as Grumpy Cat, and they thought it was hilarious because it's Grumpy.
You can get away with it then.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, obviously, in my illustrious 6-month career of a stand-up in Chicago, you have to play the baby face. You know, but I wouldn't say I was white meat. Maybe more of a gamey dark meat baby face. But you get the laughs. So I guess I was going up for more comedic roles, but that's okay. I get you. It is easy. It's more fun. You might. I will say this with all due respect. You do have a inclination to go heel pretty quickly.
That's true. That's true. I've always been kind of a smart ass. I do tend to react that way, and it's when you're in media for as long as I have, and mind you, when I started off with Red Eye, geez, this was a while back. I was looking at my I set up an authory page, and this service goes through, and it goes through the internet, and it finds all the stuff you've done, and it collects it for you, which I thought would be really difficult, because the majority of the stuff that I wrote for the Chicago Tribune is no longer, you can't find it on the Tribune webpage anymore, because when it got sold and the Tribune got sold to that, investment group, they trunked it, they AI'd it and everything, did all this stuff. So you couldn't find it on the main page. But this particular service found almost everything. I had like close to 200 pieces of 200 bits of things that I've written for the Tribune, as well as some of the other outlets. So I have it, and I finally have it all collected in one place. But I had to also go, once I'm doing all that, I had to go on social media. It's because of the Tribune I had a Facebook page. Because of the Tribune, I ultimately went on Twitter, which is now known as X, and all the other media. Yeah. And then that's where the trolls come. The trolls have been around forever on social media, and I would get folks trolling me all the time, because when you're geek media nerds, that's when it got trolly. Although I will say, even then, it was always the women in media who got trolled harder or trolled more than the guys. I mean, I rarely had as many guys coming after me, unless, of course, I was sticking up for a friend. And then, oh my goodness, the time, remember that show Comic Book Men with
Yes.
Kevin Smith?
Yeah.
And they said some stuff, and oh my God, when I wrote 2 columns about the show. Even got my own editor at Dynamite kind of like irked with me, because Kevin Smith was one of the other writers for Dynamite, and kind of saying, dude, like, give them a break. It's like, I'm like, I know. Well, still, people are being dicks right now. Jill Pantazzi was getting raked over the coals by a lot of these, call them sycophants, jumping to the defense of the Comic Book Men because the guys couldn't defend themselves, I guess.
Still, yeah, I mean, throw a stone at Kevin Smith. I'm sure. He is a sensei, like JD from Scrubs, but he also can block all of your attacks with giant wads of money.
Yeah, and I was never an issue with Kevin Smith. From first, it's his, it's the fandom, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, he's the View Askew universe, of which I would say I was definitely a part of in high school. It was a rambunctious, vicious group to defend their Lord and Savior at all times.
Hey, I've got Blunt Man and Chronic action figures that were signed by Kevin Smith, so I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, he's gotten a lot of my money, so yeah, not gonna lose sleep.
But when they troll you, you troll them back, and that's when I learned that I can really lean into the heel really well. I'm good at being a smart ass, sarcastic kind of guy.
It doesn't help when you walk around the Comic-Con with a steel chair.
Well,
Just saying.
some folks, again, they call for it. They get a good
I mean, like, your whole excuse is I just need to sit down for a minute. It doesn't really hold up when it's bent, all the time. All the time.
No, just make sure you put one hand up
Yes.
where that sucker hits you. Anyway, so talking about leaning into the heel, let's talk about the big thing that has been the story right now in the more mainstream wrestling, and that, let's be honest, that's WWE.
Yes, sir.
I was keeping up on AEW, just so you know, on some of the post-revolution stuff, so we'll talk about it.
Ooh.
But the big bit that happened on Raw this past week, and first, because WWE is in Europe right now, they were in Brussels, or no, Brussels? Was it Brussels?
I think so. Or
yeah,
Brussels or Belgium.
Belgium, one of those two. They were there, and they were speaking French. They started out in French. Was that Belgium? I think it's Belgium.
I think that's Belgium.
They were in Belgium, and because they were in Belgium, the live broadcast started earlier on Monday. So if you tuned in at 7 o'clock, you were actually catching the replay. It actually started airing at 3 o'clock Chicago time. And yes, Elliot was home at that time and tried watching the live broadcast. And of course, Netflix went, I call it the red circle of death. It would load. And it got to like 80%, and it stood there for forever. I don't know how long. I had to restart my Fire Stick a few times before it finally came through. And then by then it was halfway done. And I was like, oh, wonderful. Back to this kind of thing, which goes to show you that because they were in Europe, that probably the Netflix feed, because to watch WWE Raw, I mean, the Netflix feed doesn't just go through the United States; it's all over the world. It's like, in other countries. So this being one of their first international broadcasts on Netflix, you can tell that was probably taxing the Netflix server a bit.
Yeah, I think it taxed. Not only did it tax the server, but I think it actually attacked certain wrestlers. Who somehow couldn't perform.
We'll
get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But yes.
See how we tease things?
Yes, it is. We tease it quite well. The whole thing started out with, of course, John Cena coming out.
Ooh.
John Cena, who cut a promo. He was on air. I was looking at you can find the entire segment on YouTube. Just him by himself is a good 15 minutes. It's him just being from the intro to him talking to finally when Cody Rhodes comes out to retort. And when Cody comes in, it's kind of just like a short bit, and then it stops. There, no fisticuffs, no physical. It was just all talk. And there was also some more analysis of how even that was staged. So if you watch it, it was pretty interesting how on the side of the ring where John Cena's standing, when Cody Rhodes comes out, he's in darkness, and Cody Rhodes comes out and he's in the light. So it's like the light versus dark sort of thing. Really clever, again, as far as the storytelling goes, and really teased out the again, no fisticuffs. It's not like Cody Rhodes came out and said, you son of a, bleep, you beat me up and you did this, you gave me a black eye, I'm gonna come after you. No, it was like, I'm gonna come out and I'm waiting for you and blah blah blah. But beforehand, John Cena, people have been waiting to hear how he was going to personify his heel character, and how does he lead off? He goes,
I did it for the Rock. I did it for the people. Sorry.
And this is another one that's going to try. I mean, because again, I have read, and I have heard of all the critiques online on the YouTube pages, on the different fan pages and all. A lot of folks loved it. In fact, there have been some pro wrestlers that I follow that really like the promo. And then you have the smart marks who are like dissecting it and talking about, oh, why didn't Cena do this? And it's blah, 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 how could he blah blah blah. And then you had folks who, you know, the the thing was Cena comes out and he straight off from the back goes, I am not a heel. And he goes, I'm not a baby face. I'm not a heel. I'm a human being. And then he proceeds to just rip into the WWE wrestling fans. And, I got to say, there are some things he said that I know he was saying them for the dramatic effect. And I know, I'm pretty sure he doesn't believe most of it, but as they say, the best promos have just a little bit of truth in there. Like, whenever you want to cut a promo, as they'll say, pull from your life, pull from the things come from real emotion, just speak from that, and that's the most effective. And there's a lot of stuff, and you can tell John Cena has come a long way. I remember when he had to do the rap gimmick so he could just get through a promo in the very beginning,
Well, I mean, it's especially for him, if you followed his career, that he struggled because, he had that like action figure look. He was called the prototype, and he didn't have to talk. He just had to come out and beat up a guy. And were it not for his Vanilla Ice character on a Halloween SmackDown, followed by Stephanie McMahon discovering his latent rap ability, he may have never broken through. And yeah, I mean, he had to build it up, but you make a really excellent point, and it shouldn't be a shock or surprise to anybody following this, right? Because John Cena left to go to Hollywood, and if you followed his Hollywood career, he has gotten much better in those roles. And, a lot like early Dwayne Johnson, he's taken roles that have expanded his repertoire. He's not just a dumb meathead, though he plays one probably better than anybody else right now. And yeah, coming out and using those chops to fuel this not heel, not babyface promo. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, especially like you said, it has certain groups waving their hands, but I think that's kind of the point.
It is.
I love the ire that I read from the first story I popped open, where the writer was angry, furious that John Cena came out in his traditional gear, and why didn't he come out in a suit? Why didn't he, go full heel or like go, all black or something? And I'm like, dude, you're missing the point.
He even says that in his promo. He goes, you get no new music, you get no new look, because you don't deserve it. And they're going, and that is first, it makes sense within the context of the character, right? And even if you're saying he's doing a last second pivot from being a quote unquote a babyface to a heel during this, this retirement run of his, it's not like you can go out and now suddenly print a whole bunch of new shirts and all new designs. The designs and everything have probably already been set and ready, especially when you're talking about there's a different shirt for every city he visits, and it's themed for each one. So why change them at that point? Because people are still going to buy them. I've never understood this bit where they go, I don't want to be a heel because if I'm a heel, I won't sell as much merchandise, or I can't sell as much merchandise as the babyface. I'm like, since when? I remember when this was back in the Road Dogg, when Road Dogg was first taking off. When he and Badass Billy Gunn, New Age Outlaws, the Road Dogg was really starting to take off, and he was a heel. And he got hit, and they had the new Road Dogg T-shirt that they were selling at the events, and you couldn't find it half the time because it was selling out. It was selling out. And they're going, and of course, then he would get injured, but in fact, he was he had to be suspended because at that point of the no wellness policy that WWE had. But yeah, people want, if you're a character that ticks people off and it's got a cool design, people will still buy your merch.
I think, yeah, it does depend on the shade of heel that you are. But yes, that is absolutely true. I mean, again, if you get into the fandom, if you are a smart mark, you are likely to gravitate towards heels. You are likely to get merch of the wrestler that you want to go after. I mean, not to divert from Cena, but there is an interesting new heel popping up on WWE. I believe he is known as Grande Americano.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
could see that guy selling a ton of t-shirts
And masks.
and masks.
And masks.
It's really just a factor of like who you are, because there's also some like go home heat and go home heeldom. Like I certainly pray and hope that ain't nobody buying Logan Paul t-shirts.
See, I like Logan Paul. I know he's a jerk in many places, in many ways, a despicable human being, but he's a talent. I mean, he's good at it. He knows how to push buttons. If anything, he does not engender apathy. He makes you hate him. Yeah.
It's very true. But again, it all comes down to, the designs and whatnot. I think it is a little interesting or funny if people, I'd be curious to see how the Cena merch sells on this. I think it's probably going to err towards the smart marquee side that finally get the John Cena they have been praying to boo for I don't know, a decade.
And it's funny because there's a bit, I wanted to play this bit from the YouTube, this section from the segment, from his promo where he calls out the, Let's Go Cena fans, and literally calls out the people who are wearing in the crowd who are wearing his shirts and pointing to folks. And it's brilliant. And the only reason I can't show it now is because just as Cena points to this one kid who is wearing his shirt and his hat, dressed just like John Cena, and has this classic reaction look on his face, let's just say the crowd starts chanting something that if I played it here on the stick, WRMN would get fined by the FCC. So I can't do that. So just find it and you will know, but you will see it was just scary how easily John Cena was able to get the crowd to turn on him. And they turned. I mean, seriously, they turned something serious.
They did. And I mean, they have to. And like you said, I think this is all part of the reason of the success of that segment, which I think dominated Raw so hard that the rest of the show suffered a bit. Of course, Cody Rhodes did not come out and throw hands because he has reverted to his more natural babyface state. And he's not going to throw punches. He's going to be the big competitor. He's going to show that he can conquer this mountain. And it makes for a great main event at WrestleMania. John Cena did exactly what he was supposed to do. And I think if I heard this correctly, as soon as he was done, he hopped right back on the plane and went back where he belonged, into the mountain to recharge his batteries.
All right, folks, we're not going to jump onto a plane, but we are going to go onto a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what else happened on Raw on Netflix. What mishap involved Jey Uso and caused him to call out the fans on social media, as well as what's been going on in AEW. This is the Torn Quadcast on WRMN. We'll be right back. And we are back. This is the Torn Quadcast on WRMN 1410 AM, as well as on the WRMN app and the WRMN radio YouTube page. This is Elliot Serrano, joined by Mark Allen Fishman of the Unshaven Comics crew. The Torn Quadcast is a show where we talk about sports, entertainment, sports, and entertainment. We'll often talk about not just pro wrestling, as well as comic books, comic book movies, video games, and anything else that might come up. Tell us, what do you think about the Torn Quadcast? Send an email to info@wrmn1410.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Make comments here on the YouTube page. We do read all comments. And you can follow the Torn Quadcast on the Torn Quadcast Facebook page. Just look for the Torn Quadcast on Facebook. We do post all episodes of the show on our Facebook page. You can find it on its own playlist on the WRMN YouTube page. And let us know, is 1 hour enough, or do we need to expand to 2 hours? That's a thing that I've been asked. Mark and I can talk, and there's a lot we can talk about. And I'll be honest, there are times when we're like, we go through a show and we go, oh man, we didn't get to talk about this. We didn't get to talk about that. So if there are more things that you want to hear us talk about, please let us know. Comment, share, like, subscribe, and help us. Yeah, troll if you want.
And troll.
And help us keep this show going, because that certainly does help us figure out what to do.
Yeah.
All right. So we were talking about the John Cena promo on Raw. An idea. Again, I encourage folks, go to YouTube, listen to it, judge for yourself. And again, that was just part one of many more things to come. We didn't even get into the CM Punk, Roman Reigns,
Seth
Rollins triangle that they are working on now. Just this past week on Raw, also, it looks like they want to make it a triple threat match for the WWE Women's Heavyweight Championship. Rhea Ripley's inserting herself into it,
breaking all kinds of contract law and getting Adam Pearce wickedly trolled online for his inability to protect the pen.
It's funny too, because Adam Pearce is like a local guy. He's been in Chicago, has done a lot of local wrestling promotions, good guy. And I'm really happy that he, WWE is giving him a chance. He's, making some change there. So I'm happy for him.
Earn it, baby. I got to point this out, before we close the book on John Cena this week.
Yeah.
If you have an opinion that you need to deliver to his face WrestleMania weekend, you can have lunch with John Cena for just $25,000. They just listed that.
Now I'm wondering, is that money going back to WWE, or is it like going to Make-A-Wish Foundation or something?
I didn't follow the link long enough, but I think it goes to the WWE. Now I'm sure behind the scenes he will do something, but it was so funny to see them drop that and go in the middle of the heel run, the human being run. I just was like, who is saving their shekels to just drop them down to have a fine dining meal with John Cena for the price of a quarter of a new car?
$25,000.
Right.
We've talked about this on previous shows, how expensive it's become to go to a live WWE event these days. It's just ridiculous. It's more the haves and the have-nots right now.
And especially imagine paying all that money for your ticket to see your favorite wrestler, Jey Uso, absolutely bork a match.
Well, so what I went and I watched it. I mean, we talked about this earlier this week.
Yep.
And yes, I saw also the reaction online about what happened in the match. First, what was supposed to be an 11-minute match. Apparently, got squeezed down. Some folks are blaming, John Cena's bit going too far, whatever, or was it
I mean,
Seth
they want to
Rollins?
say that, but they tend to forget that on Netflix they are not constrained necessarily to some time overlord. So your argument is nullified, sir.
Yeah,
Good day.
and it turned into a squash match that wasn't a great squash. It was, yes, it was. Austin Theory was the golden boy. They were thinking, there was this idea that he was going to be the next John Cena, and the poor kid now is in. Mind you, don't get me wrong. I think eight town down under.
Yeah.
He and Grayson Waller are a pretty good pairing. I love Grayson Waller. I think of Grayson Waller as like a modern day Roddy Piper. He's got that sort of charisma. He's athletic. He can do that sort of thing. I think he's great. Austin Theory also, I think, he just hasn't found that particular. It's like John Cena, as you said. He's got to find a an aspect of his character that clicks with the audience, and then build with that. And he hasn't found it yet.
Yeah, he got pushed too hard, too fast. I mean, we've seen it happen before. He may need to go away for a while and find something, because this is one of the frustrations I think many fans will have. And this is part of the problem of the booking of a pro wrestling federation, right? So everybody knows Jey Uso and Gunther are going to be having a program at WrestleMania. This all stems from Jey winning the Royal Rumble, much to the chagrin of the fan base, but then they see where it's going and all that. And now it seems like we've got this weird, not even a feud, but it's like, okay, well, we're going to park Jey with these two guys and we're going to do the thing we always do. It'll be a one-on-one match that there'll be an interruption or something, and now it's got to be he's got to go find himself a tag team partner, and now we're going to get that for a week, and we'll see how that resolves, all the permutations of that. And it seems like an odd way to just basically waste time until they have to oh yeah, he's got to go vie for this championship, and we've got to sell that story. Now they could easily do that from this. For those who didn't watch, basically this 30-second botch filled squash. Jey did not look good. Wrestlers are allowed to have a bad night, by the way. I'm not here just to troll the guy. The guy clearly just missed some steps, could have been jet lagged, could have just had an off night. And
even he himself said, "Oh, that was that. I did not have a good." Yeah.
His one word response to the fans though was cold.
But yes. I watched it, and I don't know what he was referring to, because the crowd was into his entrance when he did the yeet thing, and at the end, even after the botch match, he got up again and was doing the song, and everybody was, yeah. Maybe it wasn't over the top, like he might be accustomed to. I just kept waiting for there to be again, online, they made it look like the crowd suddenly turned on him, and it just didn't. I didn't see that. Did it go from hot to warm? Maybe. Okay. Certainly didn't feel cold.
It's the kind of thing. It's a frustration I think maybe we all feel, because we want this to be a feel good story, give or take, because our two big championship men matches are really facing we've got very clear babyface, very clear heel. Who is going to, is this going to be a double babyface win? We all feel good. We go home happy. Is it a double heel win? Oh my God, the tides are turning. But something like this happening does have the potential to get in the way of getting behind Jey Uso and not just feeling like Gunther's going to murder him. WWE has a great opportunity now, though, and this is something that I'm hopeful for on behalf of their writing staff, to grab this and use it. If we're going to go after this, we're more sporty now. We're more of a, sports entertainment. We're going to lean into that first word, then lean into this loss and make Gunther come out next week on Raw and troll him for it. and say, you are going to face me, the ring general, and you can't even beat this idiot,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
town down, really, and you can't even perform your own moves, and you know this he could really lean to it. I'm hoping they have the chutzpah to go ahead and try something like that instead of just painting over it like, oh, don't pay attention to that. We'll just not worry about that next week and move on like it didn't happen. Let these things actually, let them cook. Let them cook.
I would say I have a feeling that they might pick up on that. They just might pick up on that.
They're set.
And so, yeah, I mean, to me, the whole thing with Jey Uso, I'm not convinced his match is going to be a main event at WrestleMania. I'm just not.
They haven't earned it yet right now. There's a lot of story to tell there, and I feel like, especially just because they had John Cena out over there, I'm actually hoping that they move that feud a bit more over to SmackDown to let Jay have some space to actually sell this match up. Because again, we've talked about this in the past. I feel like if the WWE wants to carry two male heavyweight championship belts, you have to let both of them have time and space and reverence. Otherwise, combine them and just have one. It doesn't make sense. It cheapens the belt, and it cheapens Gunther's run and all the work he did to earn that. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not convinced that Gunther should drop the belt at WrestleMania. I mean, let
at
him
this point,
keep,
absolutely not.
yeah,
No,
let him keep building it up. I mean, he did so much for that Intercontinental Championship, and the fact that Braun Breaker has held on to the Intercontinental, you can tell that they're saying we need this belt to mean something. We can't have it going around like a hot potato. Switch it off to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. So
exactly. But I mean, it's interesting to me on that note, especially here. I'll fantasy book us out of this story. The way you make it happen, you use Uso twin magic, and they turn heel. Cody retains, so we have a babyface on SmackDown, but we have that turn, and Jey Uso wins with twin magic against Gunther at WrestleMania to hold on to that belt, and let main event Jey Uso lean into the original heels they never got to be, and be able to pump that up and say, hey, I finally got mine by any means necessary, and just like,
mhm.
let it go. I know they won't do that, but it's free. You guys can take it, but that's the way you make it work.
I like it.
That's
I
a
like it. Yeah. No.
that's a headline.
Yeah. The problem too is like it seems like WWE is having a hard time getting their heels over. It's like they're the ones that they have right now. Folks just aren't reacting to them. They're just not picking up. I mean, they try. I think the last one that they got over big, and let's face it, it's because she is who she is. Rhea Ripley was huge. She was
Yes.
probably the best heel they had since Becky Lynch. And it seems like the women don't have problems, getting striking those identities and getting over. The men,
Everyone's trying to be a tweener, and you got to start separating those out. It's something interesting over in AEW land. They just got a pickup from, I'm not sure, I think he was wrestling in Japan, this kid named Speedball Mike Bailey, and he came out in this tournament, and I'm telling you, this guy is such a white meat baby face that like, he looks like the type of guy that helps old ladies cross the street. Just that, like, there's not an ounce of stubble on him anywhere, and he's like the Karate Kid. He does like crane kicks and so. I mean, he's amazing in the ring. I don't know who this guy is, but I enjoyed what I watched. But like, you look at that going, well, now that's clearly baby face. And I think like WWE, to their own, I mean, look, this is how the Attitude Era worked. Everybody saw what Stone Cold and The Rock and all those people did. I mean, John Cena, for what, a decade plus, was a white meat baby face. Absolutely refused to go the other route. So you see how hard you got to swerve now to get that angry crowd reaction, the go home heat, not the kind that, a Logan might get for his other stuff, but like doing exactly that. Shinsuke Nakamura, he had it for a hot minute there when he put the makeup back on and all that. But again, little dribs and drabs, not big swings. So
thinking, not that I want to flip flop on this, but okay, the New Day.
I mean,
they're getting heat now, which is, I think, is good for them that they were able to turn that switch and the crowd is reacting. Right now, the top heel though in WWE has to be Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio. I mean, again, he can't talk. The crowd boos him and it's so naturally loud. They hate him so much that they don't even want to listen to the talk, and he leans into it. And the thing is, like, it's to that point where it's like, God, everyone hates him so much. I love the kid,
They've got a handful of them, but you look at like New Day and John Cena, especially, those heel turns came after years and years of going the opposite direction. So it works. Dirty Dom works, and I think he's also part of what I would call the experience. I don't know if people hate him as much as they just love booing when he's supposed to talk.
Yeah.
Because that's just what you do now, which is great. Let them lean into it. But they need more, like someone like Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. Like, they all are quote unquote heels. Do you believe it? I don't know. Half the time, like, they could just wink at the camera and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're good again. Or we're on some side, or they're all their own sheriff.
Drew McIntyre's got to change his look, if you ask me, or change that entrance. It's when he does the thing where he goes, it's funny. His mouth actually looks smaller when he does that war cry of his. I'm like, it does not look impressive or intimidating at all.
So he's also losing heel points by the day by his adorable cat videos.
I haven't seen them. I should watch them.
Oh my God. His entire TikTok channel is him, like, almost ASMR, holding up one cat at a time and just introducing to them and telling them their names and like all their little habits and stuff.
Like Stone Cold does with his cat Poncho, his barn cat.
But even sweeter. No, like Stone Cold's like, this is my cat. He's great. No, I'm telling, Drew picks up a big fat cat and he's like, this is my Tebby. He's a little fat cat. And you're just sitting like, this guy can't ever be a heel again. I actually hope this is the angle. Just put on a sweater, tie the hair back,
little cats on it,
and just make him the Scottish cat lady. Just
do Drew Catentire.
I would be there for it.
It's like,
let it happen.
Mac Cat Tire.
Do it, cowards.
I thank you for bringing that to my attention. I did not know it existed. I will be looking for it on TikTok.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
And they're trying. I think Drew McIntyre is now, his feud is with Damian Priest.
Sure.
Because for Damian Priest, again, they gave him a run, and they're like, okay, that didn't work. We lifted him for a while.
Please look up the Simpsons GIF. At least you tried. Cake in the garbage can.
The Judgment Day just says no. And am I seeing a death of factions again in the WWE? Because the bloodline is pretty much gone. I mean, there's no more. I mean, Roman Reigns says he's a tribal chief, but he has no tribe.
Correct.
The Judgment Day is kind of there, but you rarely see them.
I think like the clubhouse still exists, but pretty soon it's just going to be Carlito in there eating an apple.
Yeah, which they should do. They should make a bit of that. Like, where's everybody? That's not cool.
I mean, it's a little sucky because JD McDonough obviously, half killed himself in a spot, so he's gone for a while. Finn Balor, I've personally never got into this athletic wear gangster Finn Balor, and he just looks funny to me. It doesn't work, and him leading or saying when I lead, we get wins. And then you have like the Dominic, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez grouping that they don't seem to be aligned with the Judgment Day. They don't come out as a unit to help anybody else. They just happen to wear black and purple. So I would agree with you. The death of the factions are kind of they're happening.
But what I say, this is a freebie I'll give to WWE Creative. Um, Dominic, Raquel, and Liv break away from Judgment Day, and Dominic says, "We're the real Latino World Order," and they take over that faction. Like he takes it over from his father, and whatever. And that I think would be pretty cool. Because I mean, I'm sorry, the LWO. I mean, that was something that was Eddie Guerrero created, so it would make more sense that Dominic takes over the LWO since he's supposed to be, the son of Eddie
The
Guerrero.
LWO was never supposed to be a babyface thing to begin with. It was just it was yet another NWO knockoff thing when they couldn't get it through. But if I can just put a plea out to your angle there, I love it. But Penta and Ray Fenix, not allowed.
No.
Leave them be.
No, absolutely.
Also, by the way, shout out to the returning Malachi or Aleister Black. The smoke promo that they pushed out last week. They did confirm that is Aleister Black returning. This is me again, just hopeful for that guy because I think he's great. Keep him on NXT. Keep him a killer. Don't bog it down. Or if you're going to have the huevos to do it, put him on one of the main shows. Let him actually be the villain that we've pleaded them to start making. He'd be an interesting person. Again, like I love to see him as a hitman for Karrion Kross. Or somebody evil,
I could also go on about Karrion Kross, but one, there's so much potential being lost there, and we're just about out of time. So what we're going to do is, again, if you have topics that you'd like for us to discuss, I'm going to encourage you, comment here on the YouTube page, comment on the Facebook page, write to us, info@WRMN1410.com. Put in the header Torn Quadcast and then let us know. Or you can write to me directly, Elliott, ELLIOTT, @WRMN1410.com. Let me know what you thought of the show, how the discussion went. And trust me, there's going to be plenty to talk about next week. So for Mark Allen Fishman, I'm Elliott Serrano. This has been the Torn Quadcast. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.